Good morning, everybody. Welcome to what do we got? Second Chronicles 26 today, and we learned about King Uzziah, if I'm pronouncing it right. King Uzziah. We see that he was 16 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 52 years. He reigned for quite a while. So that's putting him at he was 68 years old when he died. But he reigned for 52 years. It's a good, strong, long time when we're reading all of these different kings and stuff. You see, some of them are only there for a very short time, under a year, but he's there a pretty long time. But it says right in verse 4, he did what was right in the sight of the Lord, and I believe that has a lot to do with his length of with his length of reign and stuff like that. But you see, somewhere along the way, he got a little mixed up. You see, in verse 16 it says, "But when he was strong, his heart was lifted up to his destruction, for he transgressed against the Lord his God." And it goes on to tell you how he transgressed and stuff like that. And at that moment when he transgressed the Lord, he actually did it by entering a place in the temple he shouldn't have entered, trying to burn incense when he shouldn't have burned incense. That should have been left up to the priests. And God struck him with leprosy right there, right in front of 80 priests. God struck him with leprosy. And from there on, he had leprosy till the day he died. And when you look at verse 23, which is the last verse in this chapter, after they buried him, it says, "For they said, he is a leper." They didn't know him as a man of God. They don't remember him, they don't remember him as a man of God. They don't remember him as a great king. There's lots of ways they could remember him, but how did they remember him? As a leper. And this should get us thinking, what are people going to remember us by? Or what if today is our last day on earth, and what we do today is how we are remembered? And what would that be? What is that going to be? And it should really get us looking and taking an internal inventory on our actions, on our thoughts, on all sorts of things. Do we spend enough time with God? Do we spend enough time reading the Word? And do we look to do good? Do we, as God says in Micah 6:8, do we look to show mercy? And do we follow God or ask God to follow us? And how will you be remembered? If at the end of the day today, do an inventory of your life today and see, and this is how you're going to be remembered. If this is how you were remembered, would you want it? And if the answer is yes, that's great and super and wonderful. And if it's not, looks like we have something to do. I would much rather have written on my tombstone, a man of God, than have worked for 25 years in auto parts, has a successful tea business, or whatever it is, or was a liar, or anything like that. I would rather be known that as a man that seeks God. And look at King David, for example. King David, we know King David had his problems. He had lust problems. And he was still known as a man to chase after God's own heart. Why? Because he always kept going after God. And did he learn? I believe he did. I believe he did finally put down the flesh and pick up God and totally and completely. But he's now known as a man who was after God's own heart. God himself says it. None of us are perfect. We're going to make mistakes. But are you seeking God? And to say it again, if all of your actions today are what you are remembered for upon your death, would you be embarrassed? Would you feel good with it, comfortable with it? How would you feel? So, make today a great day. And at the end of the day, look back and say, yeah, this is the person I want to be remembered by. So, have a super day, guys. I love you all.